The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to the Lord. Jesus told his disciples a parable about the necessity for them to pray always without becoming weary. He said, "There was a judge in a certain town who neither feared God nor respected any human being. And a widow in that town used to come to him and say, 'Render a just decision for me against my adversary.' For a long time the judge was unwilling. But eventually he thought, 'While it is true that I neither fear God nor respect any human being, because this widow keeps bothering me, I shall deliver a just decision for her, lest she finally come and strike me.' The Lord said, 'Pay attention to what the dishonest judge says. Will not God then secure the rights of his chosen ones who call out to him day and night? Will he be slow to answer them? I tell you, he will see to it that justice is done for them speedily. But when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth?'" The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, yes, weird one, as it were. Weird. I mean, who is who in this story? Right? Who is what character? God is apparently the judge. I mean, I guess in the broadest strokes, right? God is the judge. But of course, he's more unlike God than any character that we meet. But he's in that position. And I don't know what's going on here. There's no easy transition to what is Jesus up to here? What's going on here? Yeah, there is this sense that this is God, the one who has the authority to render just judgment. And then here's his people. So there's some sense of, this is Israel and Israel's God. I think that there's a push, if we have more time or have more voice to do more context. We see it's not now Israel, but the new Israel, the people gathered around Jesus, crying out to God for vindication. So, and what is vindication? I do think that we have to, again, put on something of the first century mind or understand the way these things work, because it's a courtroom metaphor, and we catch a lot of that in the scriptures besides. But there's no there's no public attorney. There's no police force bringing charges and so on and so forth. If there's any decision to be rendered by a judge, it's one party bringing a case against another party. And so then the court is then, or the judge is deciding in the favor of one party or another. There's no quote unquote, right, third impartial party that's prosecuting for justice, is pushing for justice, is prosecuting cases and that kind of thing. So it's one party against another. So, who is the woman and the adversary? Right? So this is part of it's, I don't know if you can hear it. I can hear it, even though I can hardly hear anything right now. But this is part of the nut that Jesus wants to crack. So you're crying out to God for vindication. You want him to decide in your favor over and against the person you perceive as opposing you. Yeah, so in Israel, we can apply that, right? We are the faithful, right? And the leaders, the rulers of the people have kind of stirred up that sentiment among the people that they're saying that, right? They want freedom from their oppressors, and of course they do. It's not like that's something that doesn't have to be stirred up too much. It's already there. But this whole we're bringing this case to God. We're bringing our Israel case to God, and Jesus is saying, you're not going God's way. So he won't decide in your favor. Yeah? Because here, Israel is not being Israel. They're not concerned with being a light to the nations. They're not concerned with bringing God's promised blessing to the world. They're just in it for themselves. And if you're just in it for yourselves, God will not vindicate you. Now that's like steady criticism of Jesus, or like steady exhortation of his throughout his public ministry. But here, that's why I say, like, we push into a little bit different place, because he's saying to pray with real perseverance. And so is it Israel? Is it the Israel of old? Is it the transition to the new Israel as the people gathered around Jesus, who is Israel in the flesh, who is Israel incarnate? The gathered, is it them then that he's saying, pray, right? Continue to take your case to God, right? Justice will be done for them speedily. But this is part of it, is that, let me drag it up now as well. Prayer is absolutely essential. There's no Christian life, there's no Christian person, man or woman, there's no Christian community without prayer. Prayer is absolutely essential. In part because we're not only begging God for him to find us in the right, like about the right things, and like giving us strength and sustenance to do what he's called us to do, and also to hold off and perhaps even beat back our enemies when he has to, right? But it's not just that. It's about the continual putting ourselves before God and our cause and the rest actually brings about a certain kind of alignment. Right? The more we put ourselves before God, the more we put our cause before God, the more we see whether or not our cause is his cause. And that's where we have to be. If our cause is not his cause, we have to give up our cause. We want his cause. We only want to do his will. Right? His kingdom come. His will be done. Not ours. But we only discover like some of the subtleties of that in prayer. We think we're doing the God thing. Yeah, no. I'm fighting God's fights now. I'm only fighting God's fights, prosecuting his cases, doing his work. Look at all these people who oppose me. Like they treat me so badly for bringing Jesus to them. Yeah, that's like, you bringing Jesus to them? But we don't have in ourselves, right, in our kind of self-seeking, self-centered, or drifting towards self-centered lives, we don't even have the sense to say, like, this is, like, I'm just prosecuting my own case. Like, I'm doing what I want to do, as opposed to what God is calling me to do. Right? There can be some very subtle distinctions there, but they matter. And at the end of the day, all that matters is that we're bringing ourselves before the just judge. More than that even, right? Because actually I love the way this passage closes, even though I haven't done detailed exegesis on it. But when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth? Will the Son of Man, will Jesus, the just judge, come to put the world to rights? Will he find faith on the earth? Will Jesus find in his people the act of entrusting ourselves to him? Like, will he find us as a Jesus-centered people, or as a God-centered people, made so because we trust and follow Jesus in all things, no matter what? Is that what he'll find? Will he find true God-centeredness? Or will he not? And that's what let's push that back through the whole scene. That's what we need. That's what we need to hear. We've got to be God-centered. We have to give everything to Jesus. Everything we have, everything we are. And my friends, this is what the beautiful thing about it is, to preach this passage, in front of the altar is exactly right. Because that's what we're doing here day by day. Right? Here at the altar, the divine victim offers himself to God, and we offer ourselves along with him. This is the source and summit of Christian faith. You know, say the Eucharist is the source. I do it every now and again, right? The Eucharist is the source and summit of Christian faith, okay? Go find that in the Catechism. Then go find the footnote. Then go read the document from the Second Vatican Council. The divine victim offers himself to God, and the faithful offer themselves along with it. This is the source and summit of Christian faith. Everything to God, through and with and in Christ. Everything we have and everything we are, we give over to God on this altar, through and with and in Christ. And then we receive from him his own blessed life, his own life of love made flesh for us, so that we can make his life of love flesh for a world that so desperately needs it.